She laughed. You can't handle a woman with ambition while using my login to pitch her clients. I just nodded, sent one quiet email, and days later her dream campaign disappeared from every server except the one she never had access to. I met Maya when we were both interning at the same digital marketing firm. She was the kind of person who filled every room she walked into. Confident, quick with her words, and completely allergic to self-doubt. Me? I was quieter. I worked in IT, usually behind the scenes, the guy people came to when the system was acting weird or the files disappeared. We started dating near the end of our internships. She said she liked that I was calm, logical, and didn't play games. I liked that she was driven, ambitious, and had a vision for her future. For the first 2 years, it felt balanced. She'd dream big. I'd help her build the structure behind those dreams. But somewhere along the way, ambitious became cutthroat. She started taking her work home every night. Presentations, pitch decks, campaign drafts. I'd see her screen filled with slides and notes, and sometimes I'd recognize something familiar, phrases or structures from internal frameworks I'd built for data analysis and ad targeting. When I asked about it, she'd laugh. Babe, you don't own words like target mapping and insight layering. Everyone uses that language. I let it go. Once, twice. Then one night, I noticed she was logged into my agency admin account. I'd left my laptop open, and she must have used it. My stomach sank, not because I thought she'd done something evil, but because I realized she might not see it that way if she had. When I asked, she brushed it off. Relax. I just needed a template. You're overreacting. 2 weeks later, our agency announced a massive win. A luxury brand had signed on for a multi-million-dollar ad campaign. Maya was listed as the lead strategist. Her presentation, the one that had wowed the client, used my predictive analytics model, the same one I'd been testing quietly in development. After the meeting, the office celebrated. Champagne, laughter, congratulations. Maya was glowing. When we got home, she was buzzing with adrenaline. I told you, I was made for more, she said, twirling her wine glass. You did great, I replied carefully. But that model, Maya, it's proprietary. It wasn't cleared for client use yet. She tilted her head, smirking. You're adorable when you talk like that. It's not your model, babe. You work for the company. It's theirs. I stared at her. You pulled it from my workspace. She laughed, that sharp, dismissive sound that had started replacing her old warmth. You can't handle a woman with ambition, can you? I didn't argue. I just nodded. Okay, I said quietly. Not my business. That night, while she fell asleep next to me, I turned on my monitor and opened the server logs. Every timestamp, every data pull, every unauthorized export, all neatly lined up. She'd copied my files 3 separate times over 2 months. Each transfer had her name, her IP address, and even the USB serial number she used. I didn't confront her again. I didn't yell. I didn't even let her know I'd noticed. I simply archived the evidence, encrypted it, and drafted one quiet, precise email to our company's compliance department. The subject line was short. Unauthorized data access, employee, M. Caldwell. Then I sat back, saved a local backup of everything, and waited. 3 days later, chaos erupted at the office. The email I sent must have landed harder than I expected, because by Tuesday morning, the office atmosphere felt off. The usual chatter had disappeared. People whispered in corners, glancing toward the strategy floor where Maya sat at her glass-walled desk, clicking her pen over and over again. At noon, an all-company email arrived from IT. Due to an ongoing internal security review, access to shared servers will be temporarily restricted. Maya immediately texted me. Maya, did you hear about this? Maya, they froze my campaign files. Everything. I stared at the screen for a second before replying. Me? Yeah, saw that. Weird. That night, she came home furious. The whole system is locked down, she said, pacing. I can't even open my own project. Do you know how embarrassing this is? I kept my tone calm. IT probably just found an issue. She sighed loudly. You're in IT. You can fix this. I could, I said. But it's not my department anymore. I'm not supposed to interfere. Her eyes narrowed. You sound smug. I didn't answer. The next day, I got called into a conference room. HR, the head of compliance, and the director of IT were there. The compliance officer slid a folder across the table, screenshots, logs, Timestamps. My name was on several of the assets, but so was Maya's. Did you create the base model used in the Visionary Strategies proposal? She asked. Yes, I said. That was my work. It wasn't approved for client use yet. And did you give Ms. Caldwell permission to access your files? No. The meeting lasted less than 20 minutes. I didn't need to say much. The data spoke for itself. Before leaving, the compliance officer said quietly, "Thank you for documenting this properly. You saved us a legal nightmare." By the time I got home, Maya was sitting on the couch, pale and shaking. Her laptop was open, her email full of flagged messages. "They suspended me," she whispered. "Pending investigation. Someone said I stole proprietary data. You work with compliance. Tell them I didn't mean to." I interrupted her gently. "Didn't mean to what?" She looked at me, eyes wet but defiant. "You don't get it. This was my shot. I was finally being seen." I exhaled. At whose expense? Silence. The next week was a blur of fallout. The client pulled the deal. Our director held an emergency meeting about ethical accountability and data integrity. Maya didn't attend. Her access was revoked. She packed her things the following Friday. When she came home that night, she said nothing, just placed her key on the counter and whispered, "You're proud of this, aren't you?" I shook my head. "No, but I'm not ashamed either." For the first time in years, she didn't have a comeback. She just walked out the door. 2 days later, I was promoted, quietly, without any celebration, to lead developer for the same analytics program she'd stolen. My team finished the model, and within a month, it secured a new, even larger contract. It wasn't joy I felt when I got the news. It was closure. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about how easy it had been for her to justify what she'd done. To her, ambition made theft excusable if it got her closer to the version of herself she believed she deserved to be. That night, I deleted her remaining files from my laptop, formatted the drive, and finally slept without checking server logs. Maya's name never came up at work again, but I had a feeling this wasn't the last I'd hear from her. Update 1. It had been almost 2 months since Maya left. The office had settled back into its usual rhythm, but the ripples of her departure were still visible. People whispered about the scandal quietly in the halls, shaking their heads at how fast her dream campaign had unraveled. I thought I'd feel vindicated, maybe even relieved. Instead, I felt exhausted. Every night, I found myself replaying the timeline over and over. The late nights she borrowed my laptop, the screenshots I'd taken secretly, the quiet email I sent to compliance that set the chain of events in motion. Every decision I made had been precise, calculated, cold. Yet my mind kept revisiting her face when she realized her work was gone. I started checking the company's internal channels more often than usual. Not to catch her doing something again, I didn't need to, but to ensure nothing else from my work would be misused. Old habits die hard. Then came the call. It was from the agency's legal department. "Mr. Walker, we've received a formal complaint from a client regarding proprietary data. We've traced the files back to your former colleague, M. Caldwell. Your documentation has been crucial for our investigation. We anticipate a formal hearing within the next month." I listened, nodding quietly, absorbing every word. They didn't need me to say more. My evidence spoke louder than any testimony ever could. That same day, I got a text from her new contact, a man she'd been collaborating with behind the scenes. "You went too far. You don't need to involve the lawyers." I didn't reply. I just let it sit. Later that evening, I opened the archive folder of all the logs, emails, and screenshots I'd collected. One by one, I double-checked timestamps, cross-referenced access points, and verified the emails I'd sent to HR and compliance. Everything was airtight. For the first time, I felt calm. The kind of calm that comes not from relief, but from knowing the truth is indestructible. 2 weeks later, the agency's investigation officially concluded that Maya had committed data theft, misappropriated proprietary models, and violated internal compliance policies. She was terminated permanently. Her reputation in the industry left in shambles. Clients and former collaborators began questioning her integrity. Whispers spread fast in the marketing world, and opportunities vanished almost overnight. I didn't gloat. I didn't post about it. I simply continued my work, quietly leading the projects I'd built from scratch. My focus was on what mattered: integrity, clarity, and moving forward. Late one night, as I reviewed a client's campaign report, I got a message from Maya's mother. "Alex, I didn't know the extent of what she was doing. I'm so sorry for everything. I hope you're okay. I paused before replying. It wasn't your fault. Some people choose ambition over honesty. And that was it. No lectures, no accusations, no drama. Just the quiet acknowledgement that the damage had already been done, to her and only to her. By then, I realized something profound. Revenge doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't even need to be intentional. Sometimes, the cleanest form of justice is simply letting the truth do its work while you continue living your life with calm and focus. I went to bed that night, exhausted but unburdened, knowing that the storm had passed, and I was still standing, whole and untouchable. The final update: it's been 6 months since everything with Maya blew up. 6 months of quiet, of routines rebuilt, of projects that actually belonged to me running smoothly. The morning I received the official closure from the agency's legal department, I didn't celebrate. The email simply read, "Investigation complete. M. Caldwell has been permanently terminated. All proprietary work has been reassigned. No further action required from Mr. Walker." I leaned back in my chair and exhaled slowly. Relief? Maybe. But more than that, it was peace. Life moved on in ways I hadn't expected. I switched teams within the company, taking the lead on the analytics project that Maya had stolen. For the first time in years, I felt my work truly belonged to me. No shortcuts, no stolen ideas, no betrayals looming over my shoulder. I also started seeing someone new. Someone calm, grounded, and honest. She didn't demand proof of my feelings, didn't manipulate situations to her advantage. She didn't need ambition at the cost of ethics. She simply valued the person I am, the work I do, and the life I'm building. One afternoon, while clearing out old folders on my laptop, I found the archived logs I had collected, all evidence of Maya's unauthorized access. I paused over the folder, the temptation to reopen the old wounds briefly flickering in my mind. Then I deleted it. All of it. Not because I forgave her, and certainly not because I forgot, but because holding on to that proof no longer served me. It belonged to the past, a past I didn't need to carry anymore. I received one final message from her months later. "You destroyed my career and my life. I hope you're happy." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because the truth was, she hadn't destroyed her life. She had chosen the path herself. I simply stopped being a part of it. Sometimes, revenge isn't about grand gestures or loud vindication. Sometimes, it's about letting truth and integrity do their work while you reclaim your own life. Walking away, moving forward, and keeping your peace. That's the quietest, strongest victory. I closed my laptop that night, leaned back in my chair, and finally smiled. Not because she suffered, but because I had finally regained control over my own life. The storm had passed, and I was whole.